Okay, I see Mr. Pushpak's response already. Difficult conversations and emotions with colleagues and team members. Okay, I believe that will surely be discussed today. Okay, now that is a good one. Empathetic leadership. Okay, okay. Any other inputs? Any other inputs? I'd like to also, guys. Let's keep the session really engaging and um, responsive because we'll also have some polls, I believe, as we go forward. Okay, a response from Gabby. Connecting skill building to organizational goals. Now, that's a good one. Best case practices from Divya. Okay. All right. A response from Srinivas. How to prepare teams to handle challenges and adapt themselves and to remain focused to achieve objectives with resilience. Okay. All right, great. I think without any further ado, let's get started. Once again, very good evening to everyone present here. I hope my voice is loud and clear. A quick yes or no will be great so that I can go forward. And also, I hope the screen is visible to all. Okay, yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for confirmation. So let me just introduce myself quickly. I am Siddharth. I handle product marketing at the company that I represent, that is Websol. And I also have a speaker for the day, Mr. Avinash, who is backstage at the moment. We will shortly introduce him and he will take it over from there on. But as we go forward, I'd like to take a quick 5 minutes to just explain what we have in store today, followed by a quick company introduction and the portfolio that we have on offer. So let's move forward. All right. Quick evolution or journey. So Websol is the company that is bringing you this webinar. So we were in fact part of Wipro back in the years, that is 1988. We were the IT business sector. We were part of the domestic IT business sector. So more specifically, we were taking care of the printer peripherals manufacturing. So when I mean peripherals, it is toners, cartridges, and other significant components that ensure the functioning of the printer. That is what we were taking care of. We were also managing printers as a whole. So distribution is something that we were taking care of. But over the years, the company decided to come out of Wipro as a separate entity, and that in turn became Wipro e-Peripherals, which was known for a very long time. In fact, even now, I believe some of them recognized by the name of Wipro e-Peripherals. But over the years, it changed to Web Solutions and the whole managed print services, which is the bread and butter of the company. That model carried on for the years. And in 2017, the company decided to kind of introduce a new line of solutions to the portfolio, which is the digital workplace services. Now, more on this as we go forward. And I would like to fast forward for the next 5 years and give you the most latest, most radical and significant change that the company has gone forward with, which is a complete brand refresh. That is a complete rebranding, which has happened last year. We are now known by the name of Websol, a completely new, a fresh identity that we have, and we also have a new portfolio on offer, which I will explain as we move forward. All right. Some highlights of the company. We come with over 24 years of industry experience. We have close to 560 plus enterprise customers. Please note that we also have presence on the retail end. We're present in over 2,500 locations in India. We also won the Company of the Year award by CIO Tech Outlook Review for our Fluid Trail solution. More on that as we move forward, and a quick view of some of our core customers. All right. So now let me explain our workplace suite, that is a suite of services which goes by the name of Fluid Works. Now, essentially, what this is our enterprise workplace suite, under which we have an umbrella of offerings which takes care of various operations, where various operations involved in an organization in an enterprise, and it also makes sure that it covers a wide gamut of offerings, and we also provide solutions for different departments. Now, let me explain how this is involved a little more in depth in the next slide. Now, the idea of fluid works, as the name suggests, fluid. What that essentially means is we are able to offer tailored, scalable IT solutions, which addresses an always ready digital environment for the fast forward organization. Now, the idea is to elevate work. So, the culture right now is anytime, anywhere, in any device, right? People are able to get work done at any point of time. Doesn't have to be at work, doesn't have to be at home. It could be anywhere, right? The idea is to get the work done. And what this essentially means is you're going to connect, you're going to collaborate and create something new with, it could be either internal stakeholders or external stakeholders, right? How do we facilitate this is basically what FluidWorks does. Pro, this is our managed IT services solution. What we do here is essentially provide IT infrastructure solutions for your organization. So right from managing your IT infra, your understanding your IT needs, your IT assets, all of this is taken care by us. And we also monitor on a 24/7 basis. We have a NOC, a dedicated NOC center in Bangalore, which takes care of this. So that is on the Fluid Pro end. Now, what is Fluid Print? As I mentioned, this is our managed print services offering. To give you a quick gist of what Fluid Print is, assume that you have a large printer requirement, right? It could be 100 to 150 printers. We will basically offer you the 100 to 150 printers, but you will not pay for the 150 printers. You would rather pay for the service that you're taking care from us. What that means is it'll encompass a lot of line items, for example, maintenance, service, and the regular monitoring that we take care of. This is what management services is, and the charging is simply based on the number of papers you print on a monthly basis. It could be quarterly or even annual. So this is how the model works, and we are also number one in India on this end. So that is Fluid Print for you. Now, what is Fluid Map? What this means is, now assume that you have a ton of IT assets that are spread across the nation, or it could be even one location, right? And you also have printers that are spread across. How do you manage this? How do you manage the uptime and downtime of all of these IT assets, right? Now, that is a very important thing. A lot of companies will require 99.99% IT asset uptime, which is so crucial that it matters even for the internal stakeholders. It also matters for your vendors and, most importantly, your customers, right? How do you take care of this? We basically implement a remote monitoring solution, which is called Fluid Map, in your network, and you will be able to have an eagle eye view of your entire IT assets spread across the nation. It could be one location or multiple locations. Now, the idea here is you will be able to obviously monitor uptime, downtime, toner level, cartridge level, all of this. And also, you will have a dedicated field service executive who will take care of your maintenance. He or she will also be using the same Fluid Map tool. So that is Fluid Map for you. And finally, we have Fluid Trail. Now, this is something that could be relevant for the audience here. Now, this is basically a process automation solution for your business processes. And we have some use cases ready to go, such as employee records management, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. So we basically will be able to digitize your existing records. We'll be able to store it on the cloud or on premise. And we also have automation for candidate onboarding, offboarding, and various other HR related activities. Now, this does not restrict only to the HR, but since I believe today's audience, our registrations, our attendees are obviously going to be from the HR end, I just wanted to explain what employee records and our HRMS requirement is. We also have other use cases for other departments such as procurement, finance, and most essentially, you will be able to use this tool as a document management solution. I will not explain what the other solutions are, but I'd like to mention that we have presence on the retail end as well. We have billing products. So that's it on the introductory end. Now, before I go forward and hand it over to Mr. Avinash, who is our speaker for the day, I'd like to launch a quick poll to just check if our audience is kind of exploring any sort of solution at the moment for anything HR. That could be plain simple document management, or it could be employee records management, or candidate onboarding, offboarding, any of this. We'll be happy to reach out to you and give you a free demo of a solution. Please note that based on your input, our team will reach out to you in the next few working days, and we can arrange a free demo based on your availability. I will leave this poll on for the next 1 minute. All right. Thank you all for your inputs. Let me end the poll right now. Okay. So let's move forward and introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Avinash Tyagi. A quick, brief introduction about our speaker. Mr. Avinash Tyagi brings in over 25 plus years of experience, extending to strategic HR, business restructuring, performance management, global recruitment, and tech implementation as his areas of expertise. Mr. Avinash, having held various roles in the past as country HR head in the past for Landmark Group and other managerial roles in various other industry verticals, his experience extends by folds, and I'm sure it'll add value to those aspiring to make a difference in the field of HR and leadership. I take great pleasure in introducing him on yet another webinar with us. In fact, I've lost count of the number of webinars we've been doing with him lately. Mr. Avinash, I'm sure the audience is looking forward to directly hearing from you, and with your personal expertise and the real life experience that you can add to our audience here. I'm sure it will add a lot of beneficiary value to our audience here. So I will hand it over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for your kind introduction and kind words. I am looking forward for a very interactive session with the audience. We have got good number of participants, and I see a very senior profile to even freshers joining in this webinar. So my only request is let's try to keep it interactive. Whatever your questions are there, so just you can feel free to type, and whenever we get time, we will answer. In case we are not able to answer any of the query while I'm having the webinar, because of the flow or because of some other reason, so I will try to definitely address it at the end of this webinar. Right?
Yeah, that will work.
So, yeah. So can you begin now?
Sure.
Right. So the agenda we'll be discussing about resilience. It's very important. So we have to first understand what is resilience. Then we understand what are team dynamics, and we'll try to understand how we can use a team and how we can bring in the resilience in the team, and what are various methodologies we can deploy. So we'll also be having a quick test, right, which possibly you can use for your team as well. So it is a tool, it is a psychometric tool wherein you can effectively measure the resilience of people. So that we'll also doing it. Right, this is a lovely quote. So I would like to begin with this resilience in action. So Nelson Mandela once said, "Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." Right? So it is about bouncing back. So I was reading somewhere, so one of the authors said very nicely, it says that he's saying that, okay, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Right? So these are some examples of resilience. We'll try to understand what resilience in detail, but this is, I think, a motivational quote or some inspiring quotes always, I think, good to begin with. Yes, next slide, please. Right, so let's try to understand about what exactly it is a resilience. Right, just a minute. Right, so let me ask the audience, what do you mean by resilience?
So, audience, why don't you use the chat to just quickly type in your own words, what does resilience mean according to you? It could be, it doesn't have to be very technical. In your layman terms, you can
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
type and yeah.
So Mr. Kamal is saying it, resilient means flexible. Okay, that's nice. Adapting to challenges. Divya is saying, right, that's correct.
All right. Can we hear from a few others? One's level of
Raise
adaptability,
negativity, yeah.
resist negativity. Okay. Okay.
Fighting back, Mega is saying, right. Ability to survive and then grow from there.
Ability
Right.
to survive and grow from there, ability to bounce back from failures. Okay. I think they're in lines of the basic
Correct,
definition.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So let's try to understand about resilience. So resilience is bouncing back. Usually people consider, no, it is considered to be resilience is equal to bouncing back. But we will understand that it is much more than that. Bouncing back is the building block definitely of resilience. So when we fall down and then we rise again, as the quote was, no, we use a quote by Mr. Nelson Mandela. Adapting under pressure is also a very, very important sign of resilience, right? So other thing is thriving despite or because of pressure. So there are two aspects here of resilience. One is I am thriving, right? I am performing well, although there is pressure. Or the other aspect is I am performing very well because there is a pressure. So certain people, no, we might have seen many people who say that okay, I perform the best when I am under pressure, or when if you push me to a corner, then I usually somehow I find the strength, I bounce back. So these are all important aspect of resilience, right? Many times we see that okay, many adversities, many challenges, instead of weakening us, they make us stronger, right? As I was saying earlier, many times it happens that life pushes us to a corner, and when we are pushed to the corner, then we don't have any other option than bouncing back, right? Many times we give example of a cat. Usually, cat is very usually timid, and when you corner a cat, the cat will go to a corner in a room, and when the cat doesn't have any other option, then at the time that cat may attack a person, right? So it is also natural in case of our own lives also. When we are pushed to a corner, when we are having no other option, we fight back, and many times we fight back very well, right? Resilience will also have positive emotions, and many times positive emotions are buffer against depression, right? Uh, we will also learn a very good concept of emotional flexibility, and that will explain in coming slide. A resilient person will always have a positive response to change. A person who is resilient will be adaptable and will change and will bounce back. I hope I am very clear. Next slide, please. Right, so I will like to give an example here, and I will like you to think about maybe two or three people whom you know who are resilient and compare them with a person who you think is not resilient, right? So just go back and start thinking maybe a person, a couple of people which you think are resilient in your opinion, and compare with the other person who do you think that is not resilient. So what do you think is what is the common difference between them? So if I have a one group which is resilient group and the other group which is not resilient, so what do you think would be the common difference between them? You may type the answer.
Okay,
Self motivation.
self-motivation.
Yeah. Okay. Any other participant would like to add here, or you? Sukaina Fatima is saying ability to bounce back, team dynamics. Right. Right. So there are various. There is a basic difference between the way people think, people who are resilient and people who are not resilient. That we'll see in the coming slides. Next slide, please. So to be resilient, what do you do? And what do you suggest that others should do to help build resilience? Right? We got some answers already, right? So next, go to the next slide. Let's try to find out. Let's see what exact think positive. Yes, Sukina, that's correct. So if you have to advise to your team members what they need to do to build resilience, what you think, what you will be advising? Right? As HR, we often meet people and we want to develop resilience in the team. The team is usually in modern business scenario, the team is always under pressure to perform, right? Because of huge competition, because of the management is pressurizing to achieve maybe the unachievable targets, and nobody is happy with what you have done till now, right? Or you cannot you cannot bask on the past glories every time you have to perform. So there is a huge pressure, right? So how do we help in building resilience? Support from the support your team and leader. That's correct. Anything else is coming to your mind? Okay. So let's go to the next slide, please, and we'll see. Right. So it is a laundry list thing from a different perspective, right? Correct. So let's try to pick up and see whether the team agrees here or not. Right? So it is a laundry list. It is not an easy task for a HR folks or for maybe a CEOs to make the team resilient. So it begins from the very basic thing, right? I will say that okay, first it should begin from yourself. If you are not resilient, if you yourself are not resilient, it is very difficult for you to make other people resilient, right? And it all will begin with the self care, as basic thing as proper sleep, proper nutrition, proper exercise, or work-life balance. This will also help, right? So there are a lot of other aspect to resilience, spirituality, right? If a person is spiritual, it has been found out that okay, people who are more emotionally stable and people who are more spiritual are likely to be more resilient compared to other people who are not, right? If you are not doing activities which you feel that okay, which is not meaningful according to your own perception. If I am into a job possibly and I believe that this activity what I am doing is of no use to me, right? It is unlikely that I will be very happy or I will be resilient at my work. I will definitely buckle under pressure, I will break down because I believe that the activities are not meaningful for me. This is same thing is applicable to my team members also, right? If my team members are buckling under pressure, they are not able to perform or they are not resilient. So I don't see the same spark in them month after month or maybe quarter after quarter. So I should understand maybe the people, maybe they have a perception that the activities they are doing are not meaningful, right? Many times the organization, the burden, the workforce with unnecessary tasks, meaningless tasks, right? Or tasks which are of low value. When I'm burning my people, my workers with a low value task, it is likely that okay, they will feel that it is not meaningful and they will not resilient. Similarly, again, coming to the other point, realistic goal setting is very important. If I don't have a realistic goal setting for myself or my team members, believe me, it is very difficult to make the team resilient. It is very difficult, right? You have to be decisive. Sometimes you have to take decisive action to make the team resilient, right? You have to stand the team, accept whatever team is doing. So it's not like that, okay, I will listen only uh, the good news from my team members. And the moment the team members are bringing me some bad news or they are coming up with the challenges, I say, no, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solution. So that's not done. It is okay. It is good to say that way because maybe you want to just shun the pressure or shun the authority or shun the responsibility, right? I need to accept. I will not have all supermen working with me in my team. it is like unlikely to have all people who are supermen or superhuman and they are top notch performers. So there would be some people who will need support somewhere, sometimes. So I should be available for them, right? Social support from colleagues uh, is very important. I am coming from the work environment to person. Then the support from family, friend is also very important, right? I have seen many times in my uh, career, professional life, that workers usually, the top performers usually have a very strong support from the family, right? And when we used to observe that, okay, if the performance of some people are going down, usually there is some personal issue involved. It could be issue with the spouse, with the family, or some other issues, right? So it's very important as an organization that, okay, we extend the helping hand for the people and then try to support them, right? Definitely relaxation and meditation, being decisive, taking decision, is also help will also help in building resilience. Next slide, please. Now let's try to understand the various levels of resilience. Resilience, when you discuss, so actually it is on three level. The first thing is resilience at individual level. Second is the resilience at a team level. The third, the topmost is the outer periphery of it is the organization resilience, right? So the core of the resilience is always the individual resilience. Then outside that to support is the team resilience, and the outermost core is going to be the organizational resilience. So when we discuss about individual resilience, right, then we have to understand what are the individual coping skills, whether my team members they have the skills to cope up, right? uh, what are their personal values, right? Whether the most of my team members are demonstrating the compassion, professionalism, etc., or they, as we discussed earlier, whether team members are feeling valued in our role. Here one more point I would like to bring it. Many times we start thinking that, okay, how I can change my people and how I can change the attitude of the workers I have. It is a good idea to change. You can always try to do it, but please understand it is very difficult to change the attitude, right? If you really want to bring the changes or at individual level, I will suggest you start this with the recruitment, right? If your recruitment process is robust, then so it will act as maybe the gatekeeper. It will disallow people who are not having these values, right? The personal values, compassion, professionalism. So it is very important that to give due importance of all this aspect when I am recruiting, right? Although many times it happens that the recruitment people don't pay much of attention and they start cribbing at later stage. So I will say that okay, if you are spending 1 hour in recruitment, believe me, it is going to save you thousands of hours. It will be very critical. So individual resilience, although it is easy to say that okay, I can bring in changes by discussing with team members, but my advice would be that I will start this at the time of recruitment itself. Second thing is then team resilience, right? So once we address the core of it, that is the individual resilience, then we go to the interpersonal or team resilience. Then what are the team relationship? So whether I have prepared a organogram, which is helping in building resilience, or which is whether my organogram or reporting structure is such that it is able to create a lot of, it is going to create a lot of conflict here, right? So that thing you have to keep in mind, right? So you have to bring an environment. So possibly like team building exercises is one of it, or maybe the simple activities, listening to them and discussing with them, providing social support team, right? mentoring, deploying mentors to each and every person, and allowing the team meetings and having this. So it is all has to be put together. Yes, Mr. Pushpak, you are right. It will come with experience. Then organizational resilience. The most important aspect of organized resilience is the leadership, right? So the leadership, if leadership is not supporting the whole activity, so as they say that everything should begin from the top, right? So if we are HR, if you want to bring in all these activities, right, I will suggest that you spend maybe uh, big amount of time in preparing your presentation to the leadership. Once the leadership is right with you, then 50% of the task is done, right? Next slide, please.
Sir, do you want me to launch the poll right now or after this slide?
After this slide, please.
Okay, done.
Yeah. So let's try to understand how the resilience is going to help me and my organization, right? If the team is resilient, it will help everybody to turn challenges into opportunities that will lead to innovation, right? So we have seen plenty of examples. So I was reading a very interesting case study. So that is an Indian company. So they were into manufacturing earbuds, right? And they were into earbuds and they were into wet tissues and all these things. So they were into a sort of cosmetics and all this thing, right? So the COVID-19 came and everything was thrown out and they were into a big problem, right? So ultimately the organization, they were resilient, they sat together, they they started uh, coming together, they adopted the technology and instead of preparing earbuds, so this was an organization, it is Delhi based organization. Uh, the organization was supplying almost across India the all this we had these swabs, right? Nasal swabs. So uh, I'm sure everybody remember and uh, would have enjoyed the pain of uh, the stabbing pain of the nasal swab when we have to take when we used to take the COVID test, right? So this organization, they turned this challenge into opportunity. Other good example is of for American Express during 2008 during this crisis in US. So their main business was into giving credit cards and all these things. So that the business was down. So at that point of time, the team came together and they came up with the idea which was not their core business area. They expanded and they diversified into different segments. So there are various examples, India and global examples, where the team itself, they turn challenges into opportunities. This will happen only and only if the team is resilient and the organization itself is not giving up. Otherwise, it's very easy to say that, okay, what we'll do now, the COVID has stuck and people are not buying this uh, wet wipes. What we'll do? People are not buying the earbuds. So it is very important to turn challenge into opportunity. Other example I remember is of IHPL. This Indian hotel. So again, the example is of COVID times, wherein these hotels, because there was no guests coming in, the tourism was almost dead at that point of time. So they decided that okay, they decided that they will advertise and they started no uh, supplying to the homes, right? Taking orders, online orders, and so they turned in their kitchen into supplying orders, right? So instead of so they were just supplying orders to different households, and the demand was huge, and they were able to bring in good amount of money. Resilience also will renew energy by identifying what truly matters to us. So if we are resilient, our mind, our brain is working. If we are not resilient, usually we give up and our mind stops working. So a resilient team will think and they will be innovative, right? Similarly, resilience will help to developing courage, right, to act and face of uncertainty. So the resilient people will always have a courage. They will not give up easily, as we have seen earlier, right? So some people thrive in adversity. Whenever there is adversity, whenever there is challenges, these people they thrive, right? So they work under pressure and they work better under pressure. This is sign of resilience. Resilience also help in recovering quickly from difficult situation. So if I am into the corner, so I recover uh, very fast because I am resilient, or my team is also able to recover because team is resilient. Yes, Mr. Dutt, I think we can have a poll now.
Yeah, yeah. So, audience, just give me one moment. I'm going to quickly pull up a link for you all. Okay. Also, on the side note, I'd like to mention that if you have any questions related to the topic, or it could be even generic HR domain related questions, please use the chat or the Q&A, and we will surely take it up as the session moves forward. Okay, I will request all of you to quickly check your chat. So there's a link that I've just pasted. Now, this is a live LinkedIn poll that's running on our page on LinkedIn. That is a website. So let me just read out the question for you anyway. I request all of you to quickly take about 10 seconds to go ahead and click on the link, open it up, and enter your poll and come back so that we can continue. But nevertheless, let me read out the question for the rest of them. Which statement best reflects your opinion on the development of resilience? The options are no, it's an inherent trait, can be nurtured in individuals, organizations can foster it, or is it both organizations and individuals can foster it? So you can choose your option and just take about 10 seconds on that, and then we can get back to the presentation. Okay, good to see there's already about 9 votes. Okay, great. All right, wonderful. So those of you who are still attempting on that, you can just finish that and come back to the presentation. We'll go ahead. Avinash sir, shall I go forward?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So the good news is, yes, resiliency can be developed, right? So we can always work on and we can develop resilience in ourselves and in our team. Let's see how we can do it. Next slide, please. All right. So as they say, resilience is not related to gender, age, or country, right? We can develop resilience when the forced to meet unavoidable suffering head on. Facing reality help us to know what we are capable of. The real is less scary than imagined. Right? I would like you to spend the few seconds here. Right? I will like you to think of a situation definitely uh, in your life wherein you had faced challenges, right? And then you realize that yes, I am capable of doing it. Before there was challenges, you were always skeptical, skeptical, skeptical about your own ability, right? Many times we are pushed to do certain things, and when we are pushed to do things, we are usually happy to know that okay, we are really good at it, right? In my earlier days of my career, so I faced plenty of situations where I was given a challenge or a challenging project, and I was literally cursing my boss why the person has no they have given me, why they chose only me to do this extra work or extra task. And it that seemed to be very, very difficult initially. But later on, we understand that I was very happy that okay, because I was able to do it properly, and that helped me to grow in my career, right? So facing a reality help us to know what we are really capable of. So I remember an incident when I was in early part of time. I was looking after my training and development center there. So the challenge was given to me to handle and run and handle the assessment center. Right. Then I said, okay, why not? Although I was skeptical earlier, but later on I took the challenge, and the assessment center was uh, huge of a great help to the organization. Right. Not only in recruitment, but also in promotion and finding out the right talent and all this thing activity. Right. Later on, then they said that okay, they wanted to involve me in recruitment as well. So I said, okay, so then I toured almost all the states in India earlier, right, for recruitment. So although it was initially challenging for me, and I was a bit, to say a good word, I was like bothered because it was a lot of touring. But I really feel that okay, that helped me develop myself and grow professionally as well as personally. Right? The real is less scary than imagined. It always happen. We feel that okay, it's very dark outside, and it is I cannot go out. But when I am in the dark, then I understand that okay, I can see in the dark also, right? So the example we always give is of a no that people are very, very scared of driving in a traffic. So when I was posted initially in Delhi, so I was very skeptical uh, of driving in Delhi, right? But when I was on road, I found out that it was not so difficult, right? I'm sure that this must have happened with most of you, right? Next slide, please. This is a lovely book, right? The title of the book is Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcer. So this is a lovely book, claim guide to stress and stress-related disease and how to cope it. So the book says that zebras don't respond to thoughts of lions; they respond only to real lions, right? So I'll repeat it again. Why zebras don't get ulcers? Because zebras don't respond to thought of lions; they respond only to real lions. Whereas humans, we respond to thought of lions. So we are thinking. So many times we overthink, right? A zebra will not keep on thinking about lion, right? So when the zebra see a lion, then definitely I'm not saying the zebra will not act or react. It will, but only and only when it sees it. But for us, there are no many cases that okay, there is no problem, but still we are imagining problem, right? We are always worried about the future, what is going to happen in the future, how I am going to face the adversity. The adversity may not come to me, but I am getting ulcers just because I am thinking, right? I am into this negative mindset. I'm thinking, overthinking, and because of that, I am inviting stress. I am saying, oh, stress, please come and please give me ulcers. So this is also very, very important that okay, we need not overthink many times. Overthinking is the number one enemy of being resilient. If you are overthinker, it's very, very difficult for you to be resilient because you will always overthinking. If it is a positive thinking, then I will say it's okay, still okay. But usually it is a negative thinking. It is human nature. We are we attract more negativity than the positivity, right? It is as we always see in the organization that people are more they react more to negative news than to positive news. If there is one negative colleague, then he will demotivate maybe 10 or maybe hundreds of people, of other workers. But it is unlikely that one positive colleague is going to motivate maybe one or two other workers, right? So the demotivated workers, they spread their negativity very fast compared to the motivated workers. who fail unfortunately to spread the positivity. Next slide, please. Right. So according to cognitive behavioral model, it is circle. So thoughts lead to feeling, and based on the feeling, we have physical response, and it lead to behavior. So this is circle, right? So if we stop the thoughts coming to our mind, right, or especially negative thoughts, it will stop the negative feelings, and there will be hardly or less negative physical responses, and we will have a good behavior, right? So this all begins from the uh, thinking. So it's very, very important that, okay, as most of you must have heard already, the IT guy, they always use is an ego, garbage in, garbage out, right? So it's very important for me to make sure that I am not allowing the garbage to enter my thoughts. If the Be assured that, okay, if the garbage is entering your thoughts, it will somehow lead into some physical manifestation, right? So there are I have seen many of the colleagues who are always complain of this pain here, or there, pain there. And when they go to doctor, doctor says that there is no problem at all. I cannot find out the reason of your pain. Then the doctor advises or asks, are they really going through some stress? And ultimately, usually the reason of the unidentified pain is usually stress somewhere, right? So if the people are unstressed, usually that it will manifest into some disease, right? Sorry, I skipped the comment, but I understand that the participant was discussing about the same thing, right? Yes, next slide, please. Right. So as I was discussing about flexible thinking, in flexible thinking, so it is up to you how you are responding, right? So either you can face up or overcome the event, or ultimately benefit, or face up or but do nothing about the event and still benefit. So you may ask her that, okay, Mr. Vinash, how you are saying that, okay, by doing nothing I can still benefit. So I am saying that, okay, you need to do nothing in situations where you cannot do anything, right? So in situations where you can definitely do something, please do it. Otherwise, there are some situations which are out of your control, and there is no point in getting or doing things and no, just getting frustrated, right? So we'll see this in the next slide. Right. I request you to spend a couple of seconds here. So in situation first, so it's raining. The person is scrubbing, is thinking that I don't like rain and I wish there were no rain, and the person gets unnecessarily tensed, right? And because of that, the negativity is there, and if everybody started thinking like this, though the negativity will spread across the organization. The other way to respond is as simple as this: it's raining, yes, because I cannot do much of what raining, right? I'm not in the day who can control rains, right? If it is not in my hand, so only thing is I have to let it happen because I cannot influence it. So there's no point in just cribbing and crying about it and feeling bad about it, because it's as simple as the phenomenon of rain, because it is out of my control. But I cannot do it. So I will just find out whether I have umbrella or not. Right? I arrange it. If you can arrange the umbrella, that's it. My task is done. I need not overthink much about this. So this is the flexible thinking. You need to think, but you should know when to think and when not to think, right? Next slide, please. Right. So flexible thinking is testing negative thoughts and prediction. and then you analyze your thoughts. So there are a lot of thinking errors which we'll see in the coming slides. Uh, so dear participants, do you have any idea of what could be the various thinking errors? Thinking errors, we can simply say that wrong way of thinking, which ultimately lead to the negativity amongst us. Assumptions,
Yeah.
yes,
I was just coming to that. I think assumptions is also, I
very
mean,
nice,
it's part of this, right?
yes. So any other comment, any other inputs from any of the participants? So you need not be 100% right. Whatever comes to your mind, please feel free to mention. So Raj Sharma says biases, correct? Exactly. Yes, so we'll go to the next slide and we'll see what are the, it is a laundry list. So fear of failure is correct. So can I say? Right, so this I have taken from this psychological tools. So so it is giving some of the major reasons, major thinking errors, right? So we have this habit of putting either black or white, all or nothing thinking, right? So if it is not perfect, I have failed. Right. Yes, Mr. Mahesh, you are correct. Right. Overgeneralizing, right? Like biases is one example. I just overgeneralize. Some people are like this. Mental filters, right? I only think that if I'm thinking negative, that right, I pay attention to only one type of things, right? I always be very critical of myself. I always think that no, I am always like this. And no, everything is going wrong because no, I am unlucky or no, it is my mistake always. My colleague they don't like me because maybe it's some fault with me, right? So I am blaming. So I am having mental filter. Mental filter here is I am thinking negative about me, right? Or it could be other way also. Some people can think always positive things about themselves. They will always believe that if anything is wrong, that is because of their colleague, not because of them, right? Other example is jumping to conclusions, just making assumptions, as very correctly said by one of our panelists, right? Right. Some people they just are over emotional, right? For example, you think that okay, I feel embarrassed, so I must be an idiot. So we fail to understand that okay, getting embarrassed sometimes is a natural thing, right? It doesn't mean that you are an idiot. It's okay, right? So there was famous song, right? It's okay to be not okay, right? Or labeling people that okay, this person is always stupid like this. So these are the various thinking errors. Uh, I'm sure if you are conducting some sessions with your team members, you can definitely no, use this and maybe spend at least 10 or 15 minutes on each of the thinking errors with examples. Because of shortage of time, we will not dwell into details here, but it is a good exercise. You can divide people and then let everybody give examples of what are various thinking errors they have seen and how they can overcome. It is a good exercise, maybe half the exercise you can do with your team members, and definitely it will help you in building a resilient team. Next slide, please. Right, so there is some class work as they say. So I will request you to take pen, paper, or maybe a calculator with you.
Yeah. So, sir, why don't we give them the instructions how this is going to work? So, if I'm
Yes,
right, they have to, if it strongly agree, then it's five, right? Five points or
yes,
something. Is
yes,
that
yes,
how it
yes.
works?
Right, right. So I will
Yeah.
explain that here.
Yeah.
So, so how it is that, for example, I am attempting. I tend to bounce back quickly after hard times. If my answer is agree, like 4, so I will just add 4 here. In question number 2, if my option is 2, then I add 4 plus 2. But here is a twist here in question number 3, wherever it is written reverse code. So here, if you are choosing strongly disagree, then instead of 1, you have to write 5 here. So give yourself 5 marks. So it is reverse scoring, right? I hope I'm clear. So question number 1 and 2, where it is not reverse code, so you will just add as it is. Wherever it is reverse code, you will just flip it. So here, question number 3, if you are choosing option 5, strongly agree, you will add 1 mark here, not 5. I hope I am making sense.
Yeah, I think Mr. Raj has asked if you can repeat again, sir. So,
Right. So I will repeat again. So I will repeat slowly. So you need not tell me the score. You can
yeah,
just keep it to yourself. Then I will ask
yeah,
you the final score. If you
yeah,
wish
Mr.
to, you
Ramesh,
can repeat.
we'll discuss it a little later because there's one more slide. We have
Yeah.
6 questions in total.
Yes. Thank you, Siddharth. So how it is? So question number 1, right? So choose the option which is fitting closely to your answer. So take that point and write aside. Question number 2, do the same thing. In question number 3, where because it is written reverse code, so you have to give the reverse code, right? So here strongly agree is you have to give 1 mark, or strongly disagree first point you have to give 5 marks, right? Just reverse the marks you will give. So just type if you are, most of you are through with the first slide. Right, so for Mr. Srinivas, it is 3 plus 3 plus 3, 9. So your total score till now is 9, right?
Okay, 5 to 2. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Mr. Pushpak, I'm sure you have done the reverse scoring for the third question. Same with Mr. Ramesh.
Okay. I think it's if they're we'll request all of them to remember their scores also because there's one more
Yes.
slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we go to the next slide or should we wait
Yeah,
a little?
please. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay. Audience, we're going to the next slide. There's a few more questions. Okay. Please note that 5 and 6 is again reverse code. Okay. Okay. Audience, are all of you done with the scoring? A quick yes would be great on chat so that we can quickly check the scores for all. Okay, Mr. Raj says he's done. Okay, 5 to 4. Okay, okay, okay. So how about all of you quickly tally up 1 to 6 questions? That is your previous slide and this slide, and you can put a grand total. That will be great. So when I mean the first 3 questions and these 3 questions. So if it's 5 to 4, okay, Mr. Srinivas says 17. 15 for Mr. Kamal. Okay. 20 for Mr. Pushpak. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I assume that everybody has done it and some people want to keep the score secret. So it's okay.
Right.
It's okay with us. Right. So let me reveal how it is to be understood about this. So this is a brief resilience scale. So there are other scales also which are actually copyrighted. So that's why I'm not using that in this session. In case anybody is interested, they can get in touch with me. So we can discuss offline on this. So in this scale, what if your score is closer, your score is to 30, the more resilient you are, right? So if somebody is saying that, okay, somebody is finding that my score is 25, 27, that means you are very, very resilient. If somebody is saying that, okay, my score is 5 or 7 or maybe 10, so that means you are less resilient, right? So I'm not commenting here that it is a good thing or bad thing to be. Only what is more important is that we should know how resilient we are, so that we are, if we are consciously aware that we are less resilient or we are more resilient, we can work on our strength or our development areas, right? So you may use this scale while you're conducting sessions with your team members, right, on resilience. This is a good scale. It measures, it is brief also, and maybe in a couple of minutes you are able to understand, or the people they themselves are able to understand. So where do they lie on as far as the resilience is concerned, right? So we'll go to the next slide. So this is, till now we have understood about the individual resilience. Now we'll go to the other topic of team resilience, right? So how do we decide the team resiliency? The capacity to anticipate and create sustained team performance is team resilience, right? A simple definition. Now let's try to find out what are the various building blocks of team. Next slide, please. Right. So the building blocks of successful teams are that the team has to be driven with a purpose. They should know why they are doing it. They should have a clear direction. They should know what they are supposed to do. They should be very, very clear in execution. They should know how the things are to be done. And there has to be clarity. They should know who is going to do what. And everybody should be aware that, okay, what is going to be the result of their total effort, right? So it's very important that, okay, when we are building teams, that this clarity is there. Next slide, please. Right. So strong relationship will provide the support and ability to work through difficult challenges together. If there is a strong relationship, right, and we are able to create a strong relationship between the team members, so it helps, right? So you might have seen, or you might have read, or you might have seen the documentaries of various commandos, right? Or during the army training also, or a lot of team building exercise when we do offsite. So we try to make sure that people are there to help each other, right? So when somebody is helping the other colleague, maybe on site, off site, it definitely bring them together and builds helps in building resilience. Having a sense of purpose gives meaning to the suffering, right? If I know, or my team know that, okay, uh, there is definitely a sense of purpose, although we are down, our sales are down, or the competitor is no is eating us day by day, or we are facing backlashes, or we are getting a lot of complaints from our customers. So everybody is together. When everybody has a sense of purpose, everybody comes together and they decide to fight together, it gives a new meaning, right? And it helps in building good resilience. Clear direction is very important, because without clear direction people will lose the focus. And definitely we all know that a clear structure, how it is important, right? If there is a clear structure, there's clear cut structure, we know that who is going to do what, who is reporting to whom, who has what authority, right? The DOA chart, delegation of authority chart, is very, very clear. The RASI matrix is very, very clear. So that help in sorting, building a strong and stronger teams. Next slide, please. So let's It is very, I will try to summarize in 5 steps only, right? So we can break down each step, and maybe each step we can discuss for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. But because of shortage of time, so we'll just quickly run through it. And if required, we can discuss this offline as well. So the very first step they say in building a resilient team is increasing the psychological safety. That we'll see in detail, right? We have to bring in right balance of reality and hope. Increase in communication is the very critical uh, area. Definitely focusing on building relationship with the team and encouraging learning. So let's dwell into it one by one, and let's see how this is going to help in building resilient teams.
Yeah, audience, we're almost coming to the end of the presentation. I'd just like to mention that you can park your questions, and most importantly, we will also take up any queries directly. If you'd like to interact with Mr. Avinash directly, we'll be able to enable you to talk to him directly on Zoom itself. So just before we come to the end of the presentation, I just thought I'll mention that we'll move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Siddharth. Right. So let's try to understand why it is important to increase the psychological safety. Right. Actually, what we mean by providing psychological safety is providing a non-judgmental climate. Right. So I don't judge people, right, because somebody has committed a mistake, or my the chips are down of one team, or maybe of one of the team members is not able to perform maybe this month or this quarter. So I need to provide him a psychological safety, so where the person is comfortable to come and tell me that what is his pain points, why he's struggling, and how he can do better in his opinion, right? What areas we need to work on and how we can support him, right? So it involves deep listening. You cannot have a psychological safety or the psychologically safe environment if people don't have time to listen to each other. All right. So as they say that okay, we should have managers especially should have a lot of one-to-one, one-on-ones, right? So it is fashionable to have the open houses and forums and all this thing. It should be happening on regular basis. I'm not against that, but what really builds the strong connection is one-on-one. If as a supervisor, if I am able to take out maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes of time, and I just have a tea or coffee with my colleague without discussing about any work related issues at that point of time, and if I do it regularly, believe me, the bonding it will create will be fantastic. It will create an environment. Your team members are not going to leave you. They will be with you, right? Because they will have that emotional and psychological connect with you. So you need to create that environment where you are non-judgmental, you are listening to people, you are inviting for the feedback, you are not reactive, right? So people should not be reacting to other person. If somebody is saying that okay, I'm not able to achieve the budget for this month, so instead of laughing or instead of finding fault for the reasons why he's not doing it, we have to try to find out the reason why he's not doing it and how we can support him, right? So I remember in my previous one of the organization pharma company I was working with, so they used to say very commonly that when your sales are down, people will object even to the way you walk, right? So people become so judgmental, right? So this is not a psychologically safe environment. So there is no correlation actually between the way a person is walking and his sales achievement, right? So instead of like nitpicking, instead of finding fault, it's very important. The environment is created in such a way that no, there's no reaction, and people are they feel confident of opening up and admitting and doing it. It will happen when you are transparent and you take initiative. When I'm saying you, I am saying that okay, the senior managers need senior management, right? Next slide, please. balance reality and hope. So we need to have balance the hope and reality. There are various examples, like in case of, for example, the example of Tesla is given, right? So at a certain point of time, the Tesla was in facing huge challenges, right? Because everybody was thinking that okay, they cannot crack it, and they were the huge lobbies, the oil lobbies, they were creating hurdles for them to launch electric vehicles. But they learned lesson from it. They understood that okay, uh, this is the reality. We are facing challenges, but they were still hopeful and they started working on it. Right? They just didn't give up. That okay, now we are facing a lot of challenges, and no, uh, so it is end of the day. So while you are being hopeful, but you need to be realistic also. It doesn't mean that okay, you are just thinking that okay, everything is going to change and you don't react. Certain times you have to change the strategy, right? Many of the organizations, they change their product line. Earlier, certain organization, because a certain product line is not working, they just change it, right? And they adapt to the market condition, and ultimately it leads to challenge. Same thing is applicable. So you need to understand, we need to understand that okay, we have to realistic, we have to make a good balance between reality and hope. And this will also it will happen when you are discussing with the team members, and then you are definitely sharing the it's not like that you will always say, share the challenges, the which are there. It is very important that we always keep on reminding our team members about their past wins and past laurels, right? So that bring in things in a right perspective. We can always believe that okay, we are not able to do good this quarter or this time, but in past we have done a tremendous job. We were very successful, right? So if we can do in past, why can't we do in today? Only it's possibility is that maybe that the environment, the market condition has changed drastically. Maybe like they give example of Netflix. Netflix initially they launched, the business was of renting DVDs. They were into the business of renting DVDs, right? But the market changed, right? So DVDs were thrown out because of changes technology, etc. So Netflix, they adopted themselves. While they were being realistic, they didn't say that okay, will not change. They changed, and they were positive and they adopted. Unlike the Kodak or Fuji films, or maybe the Nokia, the example we always think of Nokia, they stuck to their original design. They didn't adapt themselves, right? I remember a case where they discussed about Kodak. So there was a guy who was the engineer who came up with the was working on this their division of films, uh, right? The negatives, right? We call it. And then he came up with the idea of electronic the camera, the digital camera. When he presented his idea to the senior management, the people were scared. They reacted very negatively, right? Because they thought that okay, these films, they're our bread and butter, and if we adapt and if we take this technology of digital camera, what is going to happen to our business? We'll be doomed. So this guy was ridiculed and they were discouraged. So this gentleman happened, then he showcased and he approached Sony, and the Sony, they liked this idea and they launched the digital camera. And as we say that okay, the rest is history. So certain times we have to like encourage our team members to come up with a solution, right? If they are coming with this some ideas, so we should thank these people for sharing the idea. Although it may not be fitting our agenda, it doesn't mean that okay, you don't discourage. Sorry, it doesn't mean that you discourage your team members. Next slide, please. Again, this is same in continuation with the example I was giving. It is said that in the absence of communication, our brains fill in gap, usually with negative stories. I think if you examine the organizations you are working or you have worked, or maybe if you discuss with your friends, it is very common that usually many a times the management they keep lull, they don't share, right? So there is absence of communication, and this fuels rumors. And because of this, usually instead of the positive rumors, it is always the negative rumors. So it is very important that we keep on the communication, right? When we were working with at the time of COVID, so we made sure that we were communicating every time, every day. So in our organization, there was a task given to the managers that they have to call at least 5 people individually, discuss about their family, right? So that connection was there on regular basis. So increasing communication is very important to build a resilient team, right? Many times it happens that okay, you need to repeat certain messages. Excuse me. So repetition of the key message is also very important. I will say this is more important when we are dealing with blue collar workforce. If my the it doesn't mean that with the white collar you can get away with this. The possibly the repetition, the number of repetition required would be lesser. But in case of blue collar workers, so possibly the more you repeat the key messages, the better it is, right? So increase in communication is very important. And yes, when we say communication, it is, I am saying two-way dialogue, right? It's not like that only the management is talking and the workers they are listening. It has to be two-way communication. Regular feedback, taking two-way. Possibly we get a lot of good ideas, and possibly people they feel happy that at least people are listening. The management listening to them. Next slide, please. Right. Then there is fostering relationship building. Relationship building will uh, can begin with a very simple thing like expressing sincere appreciation. Although we think that okay, it is very simple thing, but I have seen in my experience that it is the managers find it the most difficult thing to do. Right? I don't know, for some reasons people are, the management is scared that if I appreciate, so what will happen? The people will become complacent. But it is not like that, right? Appreciation usually will fuel more innovation if you bring a lot of enthusiasm, right? All of you are senior people working professionals. You might have seen this, right? So we need to, as I was saying in the earlier slide, we need to keep on repeating this to our managers, right? There it is, appreciating others is never enough. It's not like that okay, if I have appreciated today, so I should not do it tomorrow. If I get an opportunity, I should do it as often I can do it, right? It will encourage team members to recognize each other for going above and beyond, right? I remember that there was a query in the question where the question was asked, okay, how, what will happen if I appreciate one person? So it may lead the other people dissatisfied, right? So it may, or maybe the participant wanted to ask that okay, it may lead the jealousy among the workers, right? So it is a norm, right? If jealousy is happening, so it's a good thing. Let there be some competition. So just because I am scared of the mediocrity, so should I not appreciate my good worker, right? The environment of meritocracy will be there when I appreciate each and every person. If the other people they feel that okay, they are not being appreciated, so I have to create an environment that they are encouraged to do good things so that I appreciate them as well, right? So we need to do this, create informal opportunity for the team members to chat. Maybe you can have informal meetings, or maybe offsite activities, or maybe you can have maybe a session, coffee session. A simple idea like having just 15 minutes and pulling everybody together only for a coffee, unplanned, right? Or bringing in small snacks and bringing all the team together for a simple chat. So this impromptu activities is also will go a long way in building a good relationship. Right, next slide, please. Right. So this is the last slide, and possibly this is one of the very important. So it's very important to encourage learning. So I'm sure all of you understand the difference between the mindset and growth mindset. All right. A growth mindset is very, very important. The growth mindset will always find an opportunity uh, in challenges, right? The growth mindset is not never satisfied with the status quo. Growth mindset will the people with growth mindset, they always try to develop themselves, and these are the people who want to support others. Fixed mindset people, they are happy doing their task, and uh, they close their work and they go home. Whereas people with growth mindset, they take initiative in helping others. They are very, very keen to learn from others. Whereas fixed mindset people, they are very happy and satisfied to learn only the domain they are in. They never go outside their comfort zone, and they don't learn other things. So it is very, very difficult for the organization and as well as individual. So you never know when your skill set is going to be outdated. So we always should have a growth mindset, and we should reward people with growth mindset in our team, right? So people who are keen to learn new things, so they are always advisable. I remember, so we had when I was working abroad, so we had one of the gentlemen from our own India. So this gentleman joined us as a driver, right? And within 10 years, this because of his, he was a commerce graduate, and because of his keenness to learn new things, etc. So this guy was merchandise planner, right? So the organization promoted him, and he was handling the merchandise planning for Max Fashion, right? So all credit goes to him as well as to the organization, which thought that okay, the driver has a capacity to learn and to develop and to get into the area where no initially nobody will believe that the person can do it, right? Similarly, in the same way, we have to give permission for people to struggle, right? So many times our workers are scared of admitting that if I say that I don't know this thing, then what will happen? The boss may get upset, or people will be making fun of me. Right? We need to create a supporting environment wherein people are free to come and admit that they don't know. It may happen that okay, the person is doing the task maybe for maybe couple of years, but there could be some areas where the person is cutting the corners because of his he lacks or he or she lacks expertise there. So we need to encourage people in sharing this, and also we should have the we should have some celebration. We should have people saying that okay, they're proud that they have learned, and uh, it was difficult for them but they just learned it, right? So this positivity should spread. So you should set this session with such people who have learned new things and they are successful, so that they can encourage other people. So it's very important in nutshell to say that the creating an environment which is encouraging learning is very, very important to build a team which is resilient. Right. Next slide, please. I think we are through with the presentation.
Yeah, that brings us to the end of the presentation. So I think we can just summarize now.
Yeah. So in to summarize, resilience is a psychological strength, right? It is not a fixed uh, state. It doesn't mean that okay, if I am resilient today, so I will remain resilient tomorrow. So we have to be aware that our it may fluctuate. So we have to keep on working with our team members. Team may be resilient in certain stage, or maybe it may happen that team may break, right? So there are always strategy, and we have to always adopt the flexible thinking, that is always helpful. Be mindful of the various thinking errors which we discussed earlier. We have to adapt. It will help us. Being resilient will help us adapt and grow from challenges. It can be developed in 3 layers, all 3 layers, at individual level, team level, and organization level. So thank you so much.
So audience, that brings us to the end of the presentation. I hope it was truly insightful and you were able to gather some of the insights that were discussed today. Now, as I mentioned, we will talk about some of the queries that you may have based on the presentation. So just wanted to mention that if there's anyone who'd like to interact with our speaker, you can raise your hand and we will be able to quickly take up those queries. Yeah, audience, any queries there is, please use the raise hand feature, or if you'd like to even mention a yes on chat, I'll be able to quickly allow you to talk.
I believe no queries.
So audience, looks like it is absolutely clear for all, or or there's only two ways to this, right? Yeah. Okay, there's one question from Mr. Tarun, I believe. How leaders can create an ecosystem of growth mindset?
Very good question, Mr. Tarun. You see, to begin with, it should be first. It will begin from the self introspection. First, leader should examine himself. Okay, what is his behavior? Whether the messages, the direct or indirect messages he giving is correct or not, right? If the person he himself is not creating an environment of listening to the people, or is not encouraging other people, or he is always shunning the responsibility and is always finding the negativity in the team members, it is very difficult for him to do it. So what he can do, what the leader should do it actually is, so the leader should always try to involve the team members, right? And finding out a solution to problem, whatever the problem here is. Definitely leader always have some solution in his mind. It is always better that, okay, he invites people and they brainstorm together and they come to a solution, right? So based on that, what will happen is there will be the ownership develop in the team members, and they will start understanding that yes, we are getting involved in it, and they are coming up with a solution themselves. That is one thing. Number two thing is, the I will always suggest, I always used to believe is that the leader should always give the stretch target to these people. What I mean by stretch target is that don't give them things which is easy to do. For example, somebody has done a budget of maybe 1 crore in last financial year. So it is not a good idea to give him the same person again the 1 lakh budget. So I should give maybe slightly 1.25 or 1.5 depending on the market growth and all this thing, keeping in mind. So I will give him a target which will possibly stretch a person. So I need not be giving him a solution which is not very, very difficult or not very, very easy to do it. Okay, so you are asking that do you agree working team is important than individual performance? Yes, it is. It is very, very important to work in a team compared to individual performer. So I remember a lot of cases wherein the for because of insecurity or for some of the reasons, the leaders were not developing the successes. They are being there because of in the environment job security, because they were scared that, okay, if I develop my junior, and so the management may think that, okay, no, I'm not required. So this way of thinking will not take you anywhere. Number one, you will not realize that you yourself will not updating yourself because you are in a comfort zone, and you are believing. When I'm saying you, I'm saying as a leader. I'm saying to leaders. So the leaders, if they start thinking, they become complacent. They start focusing more on politicking than developing their skill set, and sooner or later they become outdated, right? Please understand one thing, that uh, I will be promoted only if the organization can find my replacement. The organization may not promote me to senior position if they feel that, okay, there is nobody to replace Mr. Avinash. So rather, I will say I will be happy developing a successor who is as good as me, or possibly in some aspect better than me, without fearing my about job. Because if I have a junior who is better than me, I am sure that person is pushing me to excel myself. And you see, the for a talented people person, there is no dearth of the jobs. This organization or that organization, you will definitely find a job. But in case we don't develop ourselves, then even the organization we are working for 10 years or 20 years will say thank you to us, because we are not updated our skill. So coming to summarize, I will say I would rather develop a person, my junior in my team, as my successor, rather than just ignoring and demeaning him and no staying in the same position. So in my professional experience of around 25-30 years, I have seen that such people, they remain in same position for a long time, and their juniors, they come and they grow in other organizations. They are successful in creating hurdles for their juniors of growth initially, but ultimately they cannot stop them from growing somewhere else. Deep listening is a very, very important part of empowering others. So I will rather suggest that the leaders, you have a special sessions wherein you are not taking any calls, anything, and possibly you can begin with having discussions without discussing about work. Right? Once you develop that familiarity with your team and you develop that confidence with the team, then slowly you can go into having more discussions. Right? I hope I am able to answer your queries, Mr. Tarun.
Yeah, he's replied, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. I think just one more question we can take before we close. Already we've exceeded the time limit, but since anyway we had a bunch of audience who were there with us from the beginning, which is a good sign. So audience, if there's any further questions, rather than typing it out, you can even interact with our speaker directly. Anyone else would like to, any questions there is, you can raise your hand. Okay. Okay. I think that should definitely bring us to the end of the session, sir. So, audience, on that note, I think we will close it for today. Thanks a lot for you know spending time with us and having been here. Post your. In fact, it is a working day, right? Essentially, it is a working day
Yes.
midweek. You're still able to make time. So thank you all for your time, and huge shout out and a special thanks to our speaker, Mr. Avinash, for yet another webinar, for the presentation, for the slides, all of that, and having taking time even post the webinar timing to answer queries and extend the presentation itself. It truly means a lot, sir. So thank you so much for your time for yet another webinar, sir.
Thank you, participant. Thank you, Mr. Siddharth. Very
Yeah.
well organized. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And audience, quick side note before we close. Those of you who have shown interest for the demo of our solution, we will reach out in the next 1 or 2 working days. And you can expect a post-webinar mailer with the presentation deck and the recording. So on that note, we will close the session for today. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. Thank you all.